Hi, I'm Dr. Walter Matwichuk, and the purpose of today's intermittent reinforcement email message is to discuss with you how REBT helps you cope with rejection. Rejection is part of the human experience and inevitably will happen to every one of us. We'll be rejected in relationships, we'll be rejected in friendships, we'll be rejected for jobs, we'll be rejected in our application for different types of schooling. And what's important is to have the capacity to face rejection and acknowledge it without disturbing yourself about it. Humans naturally, though, disturb ourselves about rejection, particularly when we have a strong desire to be accepted, when the matter is close to our hearts. So, for example, humans will think in sloppy ways and create two different types of disturbances when rejected. The first disturbance in REBT we will call non-ego disturbance. This is emotional disturbance about the deprivation of pleasure that accompanies rejection. Rejection is personal, and you do not get what you personally want. It hurts. It's painful. And there's a deprivation of real pleasure. Now, you can think in a way that's healthy about that deprivation and see that you can bear it, or you can think in an extreme way about it and think to yourself that it's unbearable, that you can't stand it. Now, in rational emotive behavior therapy, we tend to show people that the human mind naturally thinks in what we call non sequiturs. So when we hold a strong desire to be accepted, whether it be for a job, a school, a relationship, we then are inclined to transform this strong desire into a rigid attitude. We go from saying, I want this person's friendship, to I absolutely have to have it. Now, the non-ego disturbance that follows is where we say, well, I'm deprived of the pleasure I otherwise would feel, and that's unbearable. So in this way of reasoning, we have two non sequiturs. We have two sequences where there is illogical thoughts following from a premise. The premise being is that we want a particular relationship, or we want a particular job, or we want admission to a particular school. But then we transform that into an absolute necessity, and that's the first illogical jump. And then when we conclude that it's unbearable to tolerate the loss, the deprivation, that's the second illogical jump. And so in REBT, we teach you how to discipline your mind so that you stay with the facts, the logic. Yes, you want it, that's a fact, but it's false to the facts to say that you have to have it. Furthermore, it's false to the facts to say that it's unbearable. Yes, the deprivation is painful, it's not unbearable. Now, REBT shows you that what really makes rejection particularly difficult is the ego disturbance that very often goes along with the deprivation of pleasure. Ego disturbance is when we devalue ourselves and disturb ourselves about a failure, a rejection, or a part of ourselves. So, for example, it starts with the non sequitur, I want this particular relationship, or I want admission to this particular graduate school. But then we escalate that and transform it to an absolute imperative. I have to be accepted. There's your first non sequitur. The ego disturbance then comes in by the devaluation which follows. We might then go, well, I didn't achieve what I absolutely set out to do and have to achieve. That means I'm a failure. I failed. I am a failure. Now that's a non sequitur. Yes, you failed. You could always reapply, or you could try again to win acceptance in some way, but it never proves that you're a failure. This is a definition, but not an empirical fact. Ellis argued that humans can sidestep emotional disturbance by sticking with the facts. Yes, you may have failed. Yes, you may have flaws and strengths, and these are inferred by the presence of your failures and your successes. However, it's false to the facts to conclude that you, as a total person, are a failure because you have been rejected. And what thinking in a logical way helps you to achieve is a form of relief that we call unconditional self-acceptance. This is the opposite of ego disturbance. Here, we accept ourselves with our flaws, with our failures, with our rejections, and then acknowledge them, attempt to learn from them, and strive to do better in the future. Rational emotive therapy can help you go from suffering when rejected to having healthy pain. Now, we can't do much about the healthy pain, and that healthy pain can be quite strong. Disappointment, great sadness, even sorrow are part of the human experience when we're rejected. However, depression, despair, rage, panic, shame, guilt, all these things are unnecessary feelings, what we would refer to as unhealthy negative feelings, unhealthy emotional disturbance, and can be avoided if we reason properly. Now, Ellis argued that humans have a hard time reasoning properly, and so it's going to take work and practice to, one, spot your non sequiturs, and two, think logically, straighten your thinking out. But it can be done, and RBT teaches you to do this. It's hard when we're rejected to think logically, but with work and practice, we can acknowledge that we didn't get what we want, that we're very much deprived and sad about that, very disappointed, but avoid jumping to it's unbearable and the failure to achieve our goal means that we are failures. Every Saturday, I have a discussion with a volunteer on Zoom, and I show them how to reason properly about their rejections, their failures, their losses, and show them how to apply REBT ideas and philosophical attitudes to their particular problem. It's free to attend, and it's a great way to learn how to reason in this elegant way, which requires a great deal of practice. And watching other people spot their illogical thinking can help you spot yours. It's free to attend, but you need the link. So write to me at REBT Doctor, DOCTOR @gmail.com, and you too can attend. We've done it now for 160 weeks. It's held every Saturday at 9 a.m., which is 2 p.m. in the UK, 9 a.m. in Philadelphia, which is 2 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in Bucharest, 6:30 in New Delhi, 10 p.m. in Tokyo, and that translates into UTC 1300 hours. So if you're in some other part of the world, you too can attend and find the proper time. I hope you can join us because REBT is a philosophy, a system of ideas that help you face all sorts of adversity, especially painful rejections. And it can really make a difference when you don't get what you want. I hope to see you on Saturday.